Out of the story of the morning, it is the looming government shutdown. We are now 17 hours, mark your watch, from that deadline. This after a government funding bill failed in the House last night, and we are on the cusp of a full-on shutdown if nothing happens between now and then. Axios co-founder, the man in the middle, the one who knows it all, Mike Allen. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning,
What
Andrew.
do you know? What do you know? Where are we?
Very likely that if there's a shutdown, it's fixed by the time markets open Monday morning. But we very possibly could have a shutdown. What did we learn? This week, we saw a massive change in the information ecosystem in how Washington governs, how voters influence government. So a very telling tweet yesterday by Don Jr., the president's son, who said, "We aren't just the media now, we're the government." And Andrew Becky, of course, that's a flip of what we would have thought in the past. But we see media and government coming together. We see Elon Musk with 150 plus tweets moving Congress. And then yesterday, Congress rebelling against Trump, voting down a bill that he wanted. So coming up to 12:01 a.m. tomorrow, very possible that there's a shutdown. I think that they may find a solution that that takes us past the new year, but high drama, and no one, even the leaders, maybe especially the leaders, know where it's going.
Mike, explain this. You said you think that there will be a deal by the time the markets open on Monday. There's also an expectation that a whole number of folks who are in Washington plan to get on planes today. So how is that all supposed to happen?
Yeah, uncharted waters, Andrew, and I can tell you that House Republican leaders don't know how they're going to fix it. And a real twist in this is that Speaker Mike Johnson of Louisiana, who looked very safe to keep the gavel into the new Congress starting January 3rd, now that Republicans have the majority, because of the uncertainty that you just pointed to, like how do they fix this? He now has a very shaky hold on the gavel. Your viewers very well know Jim Jordan of Ohio. It's possible he turns up the speaker January 3rd behind the scenes ever since he lost a speaker vote before Johnson slipped in. He's been reaching out to the hard nose against him, working them. So that's a drama that we're seeing behind the scenes. I can tell you from my reporting from the transition team, their view is that Johnson's future depends on whether or not Trump expresses support from him. If he doesn't,
exactly,
loses the gavel.
And I would assume that President Trump would support him because Johnson has been a pretty big supporter of the incoming president.
Becky, that's very smart. It's exactly right. And I think that people may convince Trump that there's no one better. The biggest hold that the speaker has on the gavel is that there's no one else waiting. But however we get through the next 3-4 days, like pulling back the camera, like the Musk online revolt, how that worked, the fact that constituents and members were responding to X and Musk even more so than Republican leaders, and even before Trump spoke. Like that is our new world. And the big picture of that for your viewers is that it's going to be harder and harder to discern reality. Jim Vandehei and I have a column up on Axios right now saying that news consumers need to demand truth, because we used to get the news and we used to get facts that we knew were facts. Now, media, what we consume, can be totally divorced from rigorous, truth-based, fact-based reporting. And
well,
so
can I ask why you think this is necessarily going to be done by Monday morning? I mean, Trump has lived through a government shutdown before. What was it, 35, 36 days that a government shutdown took place while he was in office last time? And maybe, if you look, you're going to hear it from certain places, they would like some of this chaos. They would like a shutdown because that's how you're going to be able to reset and really change parameters of things. They don't want it to be business as usual. What's What's preventing them from saying, okay, we'd like to see a little chaos so that we really can shake up the system?
100%. That's one of the scenarios. And a twist, exactly what you're saying. I agree with every single thing you said. In addition to that, they love the idea that on January 20th, like the lights come on and that there's a change, a reset, as you said. So I'm just walking through the possibilities that you and I have seen covering this many times, many years, many shutdowns, that these things can be fixed if they want to. There is no certainty of it, but it is possible that there's a shutdown that lapses into the weekend, but before most critical government services would be affected, before the markets would open, there's some fix.
But Mike, do you think this time is different? And the reason I ask, and I'm curious sort of behind the scenes what you think of the role of Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in where we are right now, which is, to me, this was the first real demonstration of their true political power now that President-elect Trump has been elected the president. Obviously, he's not the president yet. But, for a very long time, they would take to X and other things and say, express their opinion. But this is a sort of a true demonstration that their opinion goes pretty far. And here we are right now. And so the question is, we always think we've seen this movie before, and we always know that it gets to the 11th hour and that it all gets fixed in the end. But is this the way the movie's going to play out now?
Yeah. What for sure has changed is what are the powers? What are the levers? And the way that a transition source described it to me is, if you think about the X followers and you think about what Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to be doing with their DOGE, their Department of Government Efficiency, which is not a department, is outside government. What this transition source said to me is Elon Musk now has a whole army of online people to go through every bill, every piece of legislation, go through databases of government spending, and he can find what to highlight. And that's like a new part of the power is, what does the online MAGA army find? And then what does Elon Musk spotlight? Is it true among those 150 tweets, posts on X, several either that he said or that he amplified were not accurate?